When it comes to Akame got killed, if there is one way to describe the entirety of the anime, is that this is the anime that you shouldn't be attached to any of its characters. No matter how good the personality is, no matter how good the character development is, it doesn't matter, because this is the anime in which at any time many of these characters that could be your favorites, the next time you see them, they don't make it out alive. And there's a reason for that, because in this story, many of these characters are having an uphill battle against the empire of this story. The empire that is responsible for caring more about themselves than caring about its citizens. The empire doesn't care about being corrupt or tyrannical, since as long as those with power are still satisfied, then that's all that really matters to them. And obviously with this kind of leadership and this kind of system, there's bound to be a few of those people who know about this that want to rebel against it. They want to have new leadership and a new system so that the world can become a better place once the empire has been taken down. It's not an easy battle, and most of them know this, and despite the dangers ahead, they still go through with it because they want to create a change. And that's where our characters, more specifically our group known as Night Raid, comes in. A group that's part of the Revolution Army that specifically is tasked to take out any members of the empire and also retrieve items known as Tegu, which is also known as Imperial Arms, in order to enhance the Revolution Army's combat strength. With a story like this, you would think that the anime would still be remembered for what it was and what it was trying to tell, but unfortunately, due to the anime having been completely different from the manga, it's now been more infamous as time has passed, because the anime and the manga are two completely different things. Due to the anime not following the source material, as at that time the source material was not complete, this led to the anime doing things much more differently, creating an ending that is drastically different compared to the mangas, that many to this day think that the manga ending is much more better than what the anime did. And ever since the rise of anime remakes these past few years, many people have kind of been hoping that Akame got killed one day will get a remake that it rightfully deserves, as the story, despite everything surrounding it, still is very solid. I remember watching this anime in my early days of getting started with anime, that this really did shock me. The concept of seeing almost every character of this series dying left and right was so unreal to me, because every other anime that I've watched, while there is sometimes character deaths, there isn't a good majority of the cast just being wiped out just like that. And the anime did make me appreciate every character that was in this story, because one moment they're there making us have more reasons to like them, and the next thing you know, they're in their final moments, because obviously due to them being rebels and due to them being enemies of the empire, no surprise the empire has a target on them, so much so that even the empire themselves created specific groups that are tasked to kill the Night Raiders, since due to their existence it has caused a lot of problems for the empire. And the entire series does have a lot of tragic and sad deaths, but I think one specifically that I still haven't forgotten to this day, as it was not only brutal but just devastating to see it happen to a character, and this is none other than the death of Chelsea, a character that was introduced later on in the story, as even though she was a replacement for many of the characters that died previously, she managed to fit right in and managed to become one of my favorite characters of this series. Now, unlike the anime, there is a lot of information about Chelsea in the manga, more specifically in the prequel of Akame got killed, in which here we get to actually focus a lot about Chelsea, in which we discover that Chelsea has already been through a lot. Just like anybody who's part of the Revolution Army, Chelsea had to witness a lot of her comrades die, and it's because of these tragedies that really started to make Chelsea realize that she had to appreciate everybody that was around her, because she never really knew if they were going to make it till the very end. Even if they're the strongest, if they are capable of surviving any kind of situation, there may be a day that the luck runs out, and that's the last we'll ever see of them. So because of that, while Chelsea did learn to appreciate everybody no matter what, it also made her realize that they had to be strong, because if they didn't, then they could be next to die right then and there. Which is why when we are introduced to Chelsea, when Chelsea expresses how the former members who passed away of Night Raid died because they weren't strong enough, which of course this does anger a few members of Night Raid, but while this was harsh for Chelsea to say, it was also a way for her to remind them that they had to be strong or get stronger going forward, because their days are now numbered, especially since the battle between the Revolution Army and the Empire keeps getting more intense, intense and much more dangerous for them. But aside from her sharp tongue, Chelsea is still a very caring person. She still appreciates being part of Night Raid, and she shows it in front of everybody that she truly does want everyone to survive this and be all able to live in a world where the Empire is gone and a new chapter of their lives begin. Not to mention that she also shows it very clearly that she is still indeed a strong individual and was a perfect choice to be part of Night Raid, as Chelsea's Imperial Arms is all about camouflage. She can use her makeup to be whoever she wants, and thus she's able to sneak right through enemy territory. And when it comes to finally getting rid of the target that she was tasked to get rid of, she tends to do it in the quickest way possible, making stealth a huge part of her arsenal, as she could be anywhere at any time and you don't really know it until it's too late, making this reason the reason why she was very crucial to Night Raid. So in just a short amount of time, we not only got to witness who Chelsea is as a character, what she thinks, what she believes in, but we also got to see what she was capable of doing with her Imperial Arms. So with all this combined, it's no wonder why she made a huge impact to this series and why many people think that Chelsea is one of the best characters of Akame ga Kill, even if she wasn't there for so long. And that's sadly because of what was about to happen to Chelsea. During the Kill the Jaegers arc, in which the group known as the Jaegers, who was the group that was once again specifically made to kill the Night Raiders, both groups would finally clash, and Chelsea, despite the Jaegers having a strong group as well, she shows that she could still be useful in these kind of scenarios, as she even kills one member of the Jaegers known as Bowles, disguising herself as one of the victims of the village that Bowles burned down, and this will lead to her being close enough to kill him by stabbing him in the spinal column, and then using his appearance to trick the rest of the other Jaegers to hopefully be able to take out the remaining members. But when she encounters Kurome, who is actually Akame's sister, who unlike Akame, even though she was part of the Empire, once she found out about the dark truth that the Empire was doing, Akame rebelled and joined the Revolution Army to fight against the Empire. Chelsea, who still has the appearance of Bowles, tries to get close to Kurome, in which she manages to do it very well, and once she gets close enough and knows that the time is right, she proceeds to stab Kurome with a needle in her neck. After thinking that she managed to kill Kurome right then and there, she proceeds to head back to HQ, only to realize that Kurome actually survived. Chelsea, realizing the danger, tries to flee as quickly as possible. While she does use a smoke screen and wants to use her Imperial Arms to camouflage herself, sadly she doesn't have the time or given the chance, as her fingers get shot, not only destroying her hand but also destroying her Imperial Arms as well. It's at this point that Chelsea is just desperate to survive and tries to run as quickly as possible. She flees until she reaches a flower field, but it's then that she then gets her arm cut off, and as if she wasn't in so much pain already, she then gets shot in the back. Now, not being able to move, Chelsea realizes that her time has come to an end, and while she sheds tears, she becomes more accepting at the fact that there's nothing she could possibly do, and all she could really do in these moments is just accept it, as Chelsea knew full well the dangers of being part of the Revolution Army. She knew that this may happen one day, and even though she knew that her life was cut short, it was bound to happen, as this is what happens in any kind of battlefield. Sadly, not everybody is going to survive, and just to show how brutal the Jaegers are, they proceed to not only just decapitate Chelsea, and even if we don't see this decapitation, later on when Tatsumi, the main character of this series, sees Chelsea's head be placed in the pole so that everybody can see, and most likely was done as a message to the rest of the Night Raiders that this might happen to them if they still continue with their revolution, which of course this will horrify Tatsumi, because unlike the other deaths that he witnessed, while they were horrible and they were tragic, this one takes it to another level, as not only did Chelsea suffer, but they used her head as a way to demonstrate just how brutal and how very little humanity they truly have, as nobody who has morals or human decency would ever think of doing this and proceed to traumatize other people to see what they are capable of doing and how very little they think of a human life. And as if this wasn't already dark enough, during their second encounter between Sir Yu and Mine, Sir Yu reveals that the rest of Chelsea's body was fed her imperial arms that is resembling of a dog, thus giving Mind more of a reason to kill Sir Yu, which she eventually does, not just getting rid of another member of the Jaeger group, but also avenging Chelsea for what she had to deal with in her final moments. And that is how unfortunately the life of Chelsea ends. It's a pretty devastating and also very horrifying death to witness, because Chelsea truly didn't deserve what happened to her. She didn't deserve to die the way she died. And while of course Chelsea's hands weren't clean, and she too also took people's lives as well, they weren't innocent people. These were people that were part of an empire that was so corrupted, were doing horrible things to its citizens, that it's understandable why these kinds of people had to go. Not to mention that every time she was getting rid of her targets, it's not like she made them suffer for such a long time. It's not like she made them deal with excruciating pain or made them beg to be killed. No, Chelsea made sure that their deaths were as quickly as possible and that they didn't feel a thing. Something that didn't happen to Chelsea. She felt every bit of pain that she felt in those final moments. Chelsea was one of those characters that truly did deserve to make it till the end. She truly did deserve to have happiness after everything she's been through, and once everything was over, she could finally have a life of her own. She didn't have to worry about maybe the next day being her last, and she could have done things that she wanted to do, but that sadly never happened, which is one of the aspects that makes Akame Got Killed one of those stories that fully demonstrates that not everything is going to have a happy ending. Not all of these characters are going to live to see the many changes that they were able to do during this revolution. Some will be able to witness the changes, however some would die for what they were fighting for, and sadly Chelsea was one of them. Even though the ending to the Akame Got Killed anime wasn't perfect and it has a lot of issues and it kind of really did destroy the story in many ways, before the ending, as Akame Got Killed as a whole, when it comes to its story, it really is a depressing one, as Akame Got Killed gave us the dark reminder that evil is everywhere. No matter what time period you are in, evil is bound to exist, and how human life can be quickly ended when it comes to these kinds of wars and these kinds of battles between two different groups, and how when it comes to these wars it could really bring the worst of humanity. And the way they showcased this was through Chelsea's brutal end, making Chelsea's death one of, if not one of the darkest deaths when it comes to anime. As when you ask someone who has watched a lot of anime, when Akame Got Killed is brought up, the first two things come in mind. One is, once again, the anime where a bunch of characters die and no character is truly really ever safe in this series, and the other thing that pops into their mind is of course Chelsea's death. And even though Chelsea is a fictional character, fiction or not, the way she died is one of the worst ways for someone to go out. And that's where the video ends. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.